Baking and selling food that you make from home can be a lot of fun, but there are certain sanitation guidelines that must be followed before, during, and after producing your product. We are here to ensure that you have the safest product possible. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention estimates that each year about 1 in 6 Americans, which equates to 48 million people, get sick from foodborne diseases. 128,000 are hospitalized, and 3,000 die from eating contaminated food, and these are just the reported cases. What if one of these people is your neighbor or friend, and he or she gets sick from eating your food product? The 2015 Food Safety Report from the CDC measures the progress made toward reducing the number of foodborne illnesses caused by key pathogens that are commonly transmitted through food. Pathogens are defined as bacteria, viruses, or other microorganisms that can cause disease. Only the E. coli bacteria has decreased in the number of reported cases. E. coli has decreased by 30% compared with the report from 2006 and 2008. This decrease is due largely to prevention activities and the collaboration efforts made by the food industry as well as regulatory and public health agencies. Campylobacter and Vibrio bacteria have seen an increase in the number of reported cases, while reported cases of Listeria, Salmonella, and Yersinia bacteria have remained the same. There is definitely a lot of progress still needed to reduce the number of overall foodborne illnesses. Following our safety recommendations will help you to minimize any risk of passing on illness. It's important to remember that there is a difference between cleaning and sanitizing. Cleaning is the process of removing food, grease, and other types of soil from a surface. Sanitizing is the process of actually reducing the number of microorganisms on a surface to a safe level. In other words, sanitizing reduces or removes the bacteria that cause illness. You must follow these steps for proper cleaning and sanitizing. Clean your countertops and workspaces. A great cleaning solution is simply detergent and warm water. Clean countertops with hot, soapy water and wipe with a clean cloth to rinse off the soap. Then allow them to air dry. Wipe with a sanitizing wipe or with a clean cloth held in a sanitizing solution. We do not recommend using a sponge to clean with because the sponge can harbor bacteria and then recontaminate your workspace. Spray the surface with the sanitizer. Let it sit for at least a minute and then allow it to air dry. A proper sanitizing solution needs chlorine, specifically 1 teaspoon of chlorine bleach to a gallon of water. Remember that chlorine acts quickly but becomes inactive quickly too. So if a chlorine solution is left in an open container, for example like a bucket, it should be discarded daily. On the other hand, chlorine in a tightly closed bottle, such as a spray bottle, will last about a week. Chlorine in any form should be stored in a cool, dark place to keep its strength. Do not use chlorine with added fragrances because this could leave an extra taste in your cakes or cookies. So how often should you sanitize? You must sanitize before you start any preparation for your product. You want to be particularly careful after using raw eggs, milk, and when moving from one task to another in the kitchen. Be sure that all utensils and equipment are cleaned and sanitized. Everything that comes in contact with that food has to be cleaned and sanitized. This includes pots, pans, spoons, measuring cups, and measuring spoons that will be used for making your product. And let's not forget your floors. Floors are considered non-food contact surfaces because they do not normally come in contact with food. Because they are non-food contact surfaces, they do not need to be sanitized, but they do need to be swept and mopped with hot water and a floor cleaning solution to ensure that they are clean and dust-free. Some kitchens are disasters. Would you want to eat food prepared in one of these? Your customers sure don't. Look at the picture on the left. There's dishes, dirty dishes everywhere, which can be full of pathogens and bacteria. The surface is just not clean. The sink has not been sanitized. So this is definitely not something that we would want to prepare our product for our customers in. And the picture on the right, the stovetop has grease or dirt on it, and that needs to definitely be cleaned and sanitized prior to preparing your product. So in addition to cleaning and sanitizing, remember that good personal hygiene and food safety housekeeping steps that you need to follow. Before you start production of your product, put on clean clothes. Dirty clothes can harbor bacteria. Also, you need to wear a hair restraint. This could be something as simple as pulling your hair back in a ponytail and putting on a cap, or you can use a hairnet. Fingernails can harbor bacteria as well. No long or false fingernails allowed in the kitchen. Nails can chip off into the food, and this can cause physical contamination of your product. It's also harder to keep long fingernails and false nails clean. Don't wear nail polish or jewelry while preparing your product. Jewelry can harbor pathogens too. What would happen if that earring that you are wearing falls off into your product? I know that it sounds far-fetched, but it could actually happen, and there's no reason to take that chance if you don't have to. You must cover any cuts on your hands with a Band-Aid and a glove or finger cot, because absolutely no blood or bodily fluids should get into your product. Wash your hands before you start to prepare your product. You want to start out with clean hands. It might seem like knowing how to wash your hands is pretty common knowledge, but some would be surprised to know that just wetting your hands is not enough. Wet them completely with warm water and then apply soap. You can use liquid soap, bar soap, they even have powder soap. Scrub your hands well for at least 15 to 20 seconds and then rinse well. And remember that pathogens like to hide and they're hard to clean in your fingernails. They like to get up under there, so be sure that you clean your fingernails well. And this is long enough for you to sing happy birthday to yourself. So the whole process is 15 to 20 seconds or long enough for you to sing happy birthday to yourself. After rinsing your hands, you want to dry them with a single-use paper towel. Do not use the common hand towel that everyone in the house uses. Remember that it can harbor pathogens. Also remember to use the bathroom sink for hand washing and not the kitchen sink, because you do not want to start off with dirt or contamination from existing food products. Bathroom sinks are made for hand washing and kitchen sinks are made for washing food. And one final note about hand washing. Be sure to remove your apron before entering the bathroom. Definitely do not lick your fingers or the bowl while cooking. Saliva from your mouth can be transferred to the food. Also, watch who you allow in your kitchen while you're preparing your product. You must restrict anyone who is eating or smoking or who is sick. This is also not the time to have your small kids help you cook or bake. No small children should be present. Save their help for your personal cooking time. Allow absolutely no pets where you are preparing your product. Cats are also good crawlers, so they like to get on countertops, and dogs, some of them are big enough that they can, reach the counter. Remember that pets in general carry lots of germs and they don't need to be anywhere near the kitchen. Another thing that may sound obvious, but it's extremely important, is to have a safe water supply. That is a necessity. So this means that the water must be from an inspected municipality system. If you get your water from a well, then it must be inspected at least once a year and be considered safe for consumption by the Alabama Department of Public Health. If you are unsure or suspect that you have problems with your water, then we recommend you suspend your operations until you are absolutely sure that it is safe. Another option might be to use bottled water from a safe source if the water is to be used as an ingredient in your recipe. On the way to creating your amazing final product, there are other steps to think about regarding ingredients, proper storage in your kitchen, and handling and the packaging of the food. First of all, you want to be sure that you develop a standardized recipe so that your product turns out the exact same way each and every time you prepare it. Ingredients can cause your product to vary. A good example of this would be margarine. One type of margarine may have less fat, which can cause more of a spread in your cookies. Let's talk about safely storing your food supplies. This is important as well. You do not want to store food or food preparation utensils on the floor. That is definitely a no-no. This will include pots, pans, or any items that are used to prepare your food products. Store food business supplies separately from your personal home food supplies. And it's also very important to remember that chemicals must be stored in their original containers and also must be stored separately from food, equipment, utensils, and even linens. This can be done either by spacing chemicals apart from other items or by storing the chemicals in a separate cabinet altogether by themselves. Once your product is finished and ready to be packaged, you want to wear gloves. Anytime you handle ready-to-eat food, you have to wear gloves when you're placing them in the container that's going to go to your customers. Again, no ready-to-eat food should be handled with your bare hands. Once you've done all that work, getting your product baked and ready to go, now it's time to package your products. So you want to be sure that you use only food-grade packaging for your product. Food-grade packaging is simply packaging that's made from suitable materials that are tested for contact with food, and they're designed for easier cleaning and sanitizing. All products should be covered for safe transport by the customer. It is recommended that you store your finished product off the floor and in a cool, dry place. You may even want to think about developing a storage rotation system of first in, first out. We also use this storage rotation system when we're teaching restaurant managers in the Serve Safe class. This is a system that they use. This is a good system because you can use this for both your finished product as well as the food items that you use to make your product with. And this ensures that you have the freshest, safest products that you can provide to your customers. Let's take a look at these two pictures. First of all, we'll look at the picture on your left. What are the good things that you see about this picture? The good thing that I see about this picture is that they do have the meat on a separate cutting board from the vegetables. The bad thing about this picture, or what are the bad things that you see about this picture? The bad thing about this picture is that even though the meat and the vegetables are on separate cutting boards, they are still too close together. You can even see that the herbs are touching the raw meat, and we definitely would not want this to happen when we're preparing our product, or even when we're preparing food at home for ourselves and our families. Now let's look at the picture on the right. What are the good things that you see about this picture? This is kind of a trick question because the only good thing in this picture is the boy who is wearing the chef's hat. He has got his hair restrained somewhat. What are the bad things that you see in this picture? Obviously, there's several things that we would not want to go on in our kitchen when we're preparing our product. The mother and the daughter, neither one have their hair pulled back or restrained, either with a hairnet or a cap. No one is wearing gloves, and we're not supposed to have children in the kitchen when we're preparing our product. What hazards do you see? Hopefully, after taking this course, you will recognize that there are many hazards. First, let's look at the storage issues. Mops, cleaning brushes, and the rat poison should be stored in a separate closet away from food and food prep areas. Next, her personal hygiene is lacking in many ways. Her hair is not restrained, she has on jewelry, false nails, and her clothes are dirty. She is also missing a glove. Of course, there should never be any pets, wanted or unwanted, in the kitchen while preparing your product. There are spills on the floor, and lastly, pots and pans should not be stored on the floor. We're hoping by the information that you've learned in this course that this will help you avoid making these mistakes. Remember that food safety is a great marketing tool, and food safety begins in the kitchen with good hygiene and sanitary practices.